Here are a couple of tools that are available at maggiescrochet.com for making pom-poms. This is for smaller pom-poms and this is for larger ones. There are instructions inside of each package on how to make the pom-poms, and they may differ a little bit from what I'm going to show you here, but the basic technique will be the same. And this larger one actually has 15 projects in here, project ideas on the directions. So some of them are shown here, like wrap a little pen or a pencil and then put a pom-pom on the top, or this kind of fringe for the top of a purse, or little pom-poms for a, looks like it's on a little purse, and then pom-poms on little flip-flops would be really cute, or a little cheerleading outfit I think is in there. So anyway, I'm going to be using this large pom-pom maker to make the pom-pom in this video. For a pom-pom this size, I'm going to need to use this width right here. I'm going to start with a strand from the inside of my yarn and from the outside, and I'm going to wind a double strand, and that'll enable me to wind enough yarn in half the time. Or I could use like 4 strands, or you know, a lot more also. So here's the start of my 2 strands right here. And to use this, I'm just going to start right here. And you could tape this if you wanted to, but I think you could just hold it and it'll, when you do all these wraps. So depending on how many wraps, how many times you go around is how thick your pom-pom is going to be. So this one is pretty thick here. So I'm just going to estimate how many I'm going to need. That's about 10 right there, 11, 12. And it may be easier to hold it the opposite direction right here. 13, 14. And then the yarn, you may have to tumble on the floor to get the 2 strands to come up. So that's about 40 winds of a double strand of yarn right there. And I still think it needs to be a little bit thicker, so I'm going to go ahead and put like 10 more on there. That's about 12. That was about 15 more. Okay, so this looks like it might be close to what I'm looking for in my pom-pom. And so at the end here, I'm just going to take the scissors and cut that right there. So I have a, I'm going to take my double strand of yarn and I'm going to cut probably about 12 to 18 inches. It's more like 18 inches, like that. And then I'm just going to go in here and I need to get in the center of this, and I'm going to drop the yarn, double strand of yarn down one side like that, and then bring it up on the other side over here. And I want it in the center of the strands, So I'm completely around the back of this, and I've got both ends. This is where I ended off, and this is where I finished. And you want to make sure when you're wrapping that you end on the same side that you started on. So both of my ends are over here. And you know what? That doesn't really matter, actually, now that I think about it, because you're going to be cutting both sides anyway. So, but anyway, it was a complete wrap if you come down here. So right now I want to take my ends from each side and just pull them up until I have it centered like this. Then I'm going to wrap my yarn like this. I'm going to bring my left side over my right strand, over my right side here, and then I'm going to make a knot like that. And now, since I brought my left over right, now I'm going to put my right over left, and that makes a square knot. And I learned that in macrame. And it's a tighter knot than if you do both sides, like a right over a right. So I did right over left. I'll do that again. I put my right strand over my left strand like this. So my right strand's over the top, and I brought that through to make a knot. Now I'm going to bring my right strand over my left, and that makes a better knot. See how it's like it's kind of like a square right there. So I'm going to tighten the first knot as much as I can, and you might want to get somebody to help you at this point, and then tighten the second knot down around that. And another thing that you can do is when you tie your knot, go around it 1 or 2 more times. So let's say I go 2 more times like this. Then when I tighten it down, it's got more there to stay. So it's going to stay in place. You tie it really tight, but you don't want to do it too tight depending on what kind of yarn you use. And you can use any weight of yarn. If you have a heavier yarn, you're not going to have to do as many strands. And if you have a lighter yarn, you're going to have to do more strands. And it all depends on how full you want your pom-pom to be. So you want to be careful. You have to, decide how strong your yarn is, and that determines how tight you can pull this. But this is pretty strong yarn here. I can pull it pretty tight. And because I wound it several times, no matter how hard I pull this, it's staying. It's not loosening up. So now I still want to do my right strand over my left strand, and that'll still create the square knot. So then I'm going to tighten this down. And now I'm going to go left strand over right strand and keep going back and forth until I have several knots to secure this. So now I'm going to do right strand over left strand. There. And I'm going to leave these long ends because I'm going to use these ends to sew this to my project. So now, all you have to do is take your scissors and cut. Actually, you could slide this down to the next, because it's open in here, you can just slide it down to the next one. And then get your scissors in there. You don't want to cut these ends right here, so leave them over to the other side. And then just bring your scissors in here like this. And it's really easy to get your scissors in if you move that yarn down to the next width. Okay, I've got that side cut. Now I'm just going to cut this side, but I want to move these strands over to the other side so I don't cut those. And it's real loose on there, so I can get my scissors in there really easy. There. Okay, so then I'm going to pull my 2 strands right here and then pull this out. And I actually, to get a pom-pom this full, I would have had to wrap that probably 100 times to get it that full, because this one is really, really packed in there. So, but this gives you an idea. This was probably about 60 wraps. So you'd have to do even more wraps to get it this thick. So that's how you make a basic pom-pom.